But what is down, to both your points, is consumer confidence. It's down 10% since Trump took office. And so you have to ask why that is, why people feel that way, even though prices are down, gas is down, oil is down, some food prices are down. Why do they feel that way? And Republicans would be very smart not to ignore that.
Now, why would consumer confidence be down when everything is supposedly so cheap? Are consumers just caught in like a collective hallucination that makes prices seem higher than they actually are? Are we on the verge of another pandemic, only this time, instead of corona, it's just a really weird strain of Trump derangement syndrome? I mean, those are the only options I can think of, unless, of course, prices aren't actually down. But that doesn't make any sense, because here's Fox News with some excellent financial advice that only makes sense for when things are going just great.
Budget, budget, budget. You need a plan. Also, remember, adults don't need gifts, okay? Focus on the people in your life who are age 3 to 18. Grandma doesn't need slippers. If they don't live by you, don't get them a gift. Now's not the time to spend and break the bank sending packages across the country, Dana. Focus on the people in your life, ages 3 to 18. That's my 30 seconds for you.
Yeah, just don't buy things, you dum-dum. I mean, how hard is that? Grandma literally doesn't need a new pair of shoes, okay? And don't you even think about buying a present for a baby. They are notorious for being very, very stupid. In fact, if you want to save on Thanksgiving dinner, just go ahead and serve the baby food to everybody. It's going to be a great time. That's my 30 seconds.
It's tied to the massive investments.
It's 9 months.
Jesse, I hope you're right, but here's the reality. Your plan is not working so far. And I can admit when my plan.
I wouldn't say that.
Well, you know what?
When Trump left office in
2 weeks ago,
it was 1.7%. Now it's 2.7%. After it being almost 10% under Biden. So I don't know what you're talking about.
People can't afford beef. They can't afford bananas. They can't afford insurance. They can't afford health care. That's where the everyday American.
Okay, if you look at insurance, okay, you did a list there. A lot of those have to do with Democrat policies, insurance included. The interesting thing, you bring up tariffs. That's a non-permanent policy. That's what Trump does. He never picks something that is permanent. So if it doesn't work, then these reciprocated tariffs, I can lower it here on a product that we don't make. I can increase it on a product that we make. He doesn't choose permanent solutions like the Democrats. Hey, your kid's depressed, cut off their junk.
Correct. The problem is if you and I have a business and he keeps raising, lowering, we can't adjust. Small business, huge companies can't adjust. But a small business woman in this country, a medium-sized business guy in this country, they can't adjust to the whims of the president.
Small businesses are enjoying the rollback of an enormous amount of regulations and lower taxes.
I disagree with you 100%. The facts don't. I adore you, but I do not agree with you on that. The facts do not support that. Big business can adjust better than small business, and all you have to do is look at the election results to show that.
31 seconds. That's what I got until they blamed the Democrats. Oh, people can't afford basic necessities. They're in the most expensive time of the year. Okay, well, it's probably something the Democrats. Trans people. Somehow that's related. We can work it in. We got to figure out how to blame trans people. That'll work. Absolutely. You know, I seem to recall something happening also in 2020 that was like global and caused inflation to go up globally. But I don't know. I can't seem to remember anything from that time. Sort of like I have some kind of brain fog. Should probably look into. Anyway, one marker for how well the economy is doing is whether people are investing in home improvements. So let's see how that's going. Any guesses? Yeah. It'll be fun.
Unfortunately, not a good report or a good morning for Home Depot and their shareholders. They missed on earnings per share again. This happened in the last quarter. They came in at $3.74. They did beat on revenue slightly, $41.35 billion. Street was looking for $41.11 billion. They're cutting the guidance for the quarter and for the fiscal year. They're saying now that adjusted earnings are going to be down 5% for the full fiscal year. They're cutting their outlook. They're saying that the home improvement slowdown continues. They're talking about a stagnant housing market in the release. They're saying that activity has sagged because of not just the stagnant housing market, but also high interest rates and general uncertainty among consumers about the economic environment.
Okay, so let me make sure I got this right. So the economy is doing great, but it's the Democrats' fault, and prices are actually low, but you shouldn't buy any presents this holiday season for anybody old enough to vote. And also the economy is doing great, which is why no one is investing in their homes right now. Jessica Tarlov, could you please make this make sense? Please.
The argument that the administration has been making since they got into office was this is going to be a boon for you, and the American public is saying, actually, no, I go to the grocery store and everything is more expensive. I I think that the president and the administration at large has had a really bad couple of weeks. There were the electoral losses. On top of it, the waffling on whether he thinks affordability matters or not. And I thought his interview with Laura Ingraham, there were a couple stumbles that have really hurt him, not only on the economic front, dismissing people's concerns, but on H-1B visas, for instance, the Epstein files issue coming up as well. And you see the base of the party, the Marjorie Taylor Greenes of the world, up to the more moderate folks that signed on because they thought that he was going to give them relief at the grocery store, all saying no to this. He's minus 15 on handling the economy at this point. And the Democrats proved that last Tuesday night or 2 Tuesdays ago, that they're more trusted on who can keep your money in your pocket and maybe even get you some more.
Yes, generally speaking, the economy does do better under Democrats than it does Republicans. And generally speaking, it's like not even close. But what I find interesting about this is this just like totally flaccid attempt on the part of the Republicans to spin this. It reminds me of the Democrats during the 2024 presidential election, which, in case you haven't heard, they lost. And during that campaign, one of the things that would happen when people were really upset about the prices of things and about inflation is a lot of corporate Democrats would point to the data and they would say, hey, actually, it's really not that bad. It's getting better than a lot of other countries, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The problem is that people's pocketbooks tend to not really care about what the data says. They were still feeling it. And for a lot of people, that messaging from the Democrats came off as kind of tone deaf. So why are the Republicans adopting that already losing strategy? Like, we did that. It didn't work. Why are you taking it? I mean, you can go for it, but I don't think it's going to go well for you at all because people can actually feel what's going on here. Now, here's what I think is going on. I think it's incredibly hard to spin the economy when you're so busy also having to spin your administration being embroiled in historic amounts of controversies, namely around a, child trafficker with whom the president had a very long and close relationship with. When you have that, you have to spin. It doesn't leave a lot of mental energy for like economic spin to make all of this other stuff sound like it's totally cool to convince their own voters that actually what they're seeing with their own eyes isn't true. So cut them some slack, They're going through a lot right now. A whole lot because of the historic amount of controversy that the administration is embroiled in. Anyway, I have a cold, but I won't be going to the hospital. I'll see you next time. Goodbye.